With the number of disagreements that occur between the federal government of Nigeria and the academic staff union of universities, it is easy to assume that the two bodies do not agree on anything. However, this assumption would be wrong. The government, ASU, and other unions of tertiary education are in complete agreement on many key issues related to higher learning. One of the bodies that stands as a symbol of the meeting points of harmony between the government and the academic staff unions of tertiary institutions is the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, an intervention agency that, by the accounts of the tertiary institutions themselves, has efficiently and effectively stood in the gap and has halted the rot not just in Nigeria's public universities, but in its polytechnics and colleges of education. There are two keys to success in the journey of TETFund. The first being the innovative funding of the agency, which comes from 2% assessable profits of all registered companies in Nigeria. The second key to success is TETFund's strategic targeting of impactful projects and its stellar reputation for monitoring and evaluation. The experience since TETFund came into existence has drawn the Nigerian government, the academia, and the industry closer together as partners. This partnership is reaching a new plateau with the initiative by the TETFund Executive Secretary, Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro, to institutionalize research and development in Nigeria using the triple helix model. Professor Bogoro spoke passionately about TETFund and the academia during his presentation at the recently concluded third edition of the TETFund Taxpayers Forum in Lagos.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the task of building our nation requires that we develop and manage the resources, human and material, and the economy in a responsible manner. To develop the needed skills, knowledge, and ability to manage the vast human and material resources of our nation, investment in education as a nation has become inevitable. It is only through education that the human capital required to develop the social, economic, and infrastructural sectors of the country can be achieved. In 2014, I recommended and the Board of Trustees approved the establishment of the Department of R&D and Centers of Excellence in TETFund. It was in line with the idea that Nigeria cannot hope to be competitive if we do not institutionalize R&D. And the tertiary institutions have to show example, and particularly for the universities that are historically reckoned with as leaders of research. They have to be the ones to show example, and TETFund is funding them anyway.
The government of Nigeria made its presence felt in support of TETFund with the attendance of Dr. Sonny Kuku, representative of the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, as well as representatives of the Federal Inland Revenue and the Senate and House Committee on Tertiary Education. At the state level, the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, was represented by his deputy, Dr. Kadri Obafemi Hamzat, who made a remarkable presentation underscoring the importance of investment in research and development as the only way to guarantee economic development.
Let me express the appreciation of Mr. Governor and the good people of Lagos State to the Executive Secretary, Professor Goro, for hosting this in Lagos and for this invitation. This third edition of this forum, I think, is designed to showcase the achievements of the fund and also to acknowledge the contribution of various organizations that has contributed immensely to the success of the TETFund. And I think we must commend the guest speaker, Professor Rupert, because you are able to show us the data and the human indices that TETFund has done for our country. And for that, again, we are grateful to the Executive Secretary and, of course, the Chairman, BOT, and all management of TETFund. This idea is highly commendable as it demonstrates the commitment and the leadership and management of TETFund to to accountability and transparency, which are essential to securing and sustaining the trust of taxpayers and other stakeholders in the educational sector. I think this forum encourages us to talk to our friends in the industry to say that the contribution is key. Like Professor Winnipeg again said, tell me that country where you are doing well, but the universities are not doing well. It doesn't exist. In fact, in one of his books, Walter Isaac, I think we all know him, it's a Nobel laureate, The Innovators. It clearly shows the role of various institutions in the progress of the United States. As a matter of fact, the United States of America will not be what it is if they didn't start the Academy of Science and the Academy of Engineering, chaired at the time by the Dean of Engineering of MIT. The research that they had is still there. My understanding, based on that report, is that they only utilize about 46% of what back then. So we all live in a state of dysfunctionality when we don't fund our universities. So all these institutions that you mentioned, Nigerian companies, all the rest, it is in our interest to fund the universities. But I will talk again later about my challenge to TETFund. So it is common knowledge that funding has been a major topic regarding our tertiary institutions in Nigeria. So adequate funding for infrastructure development and research will definitely have positive impact on the quality of research at this level and will hopefully reduce the incessant industrial conflict and disruption of academic calendar at public institutions. The theme of this year's edition of the program TETFund Intervention, Catalyst for Transforming Tertiary Education in Nigeria, reflects perfectly the main objective that informed the establishment of TETFund in the first instance. And I believe the board and management are working hard to achieve that objective, as highlighted by what we have seen this morning. The list of achievements which the board and management of TETFund are proud to showcase on this occasion is a testimony not only to its commitment, but more importantly, the soundness of the idea that informed its establishment. The emergence of TETFund in the nation's educational space as an interventionist fund or agency was of course a welcome idea. It was a creation of the law, as we all know, and a child of necessity that has provided respite and support to the ailing educational system at a time when financing was a challenge. And as mentioned by all the speakers, a lot of the practitioners are telling us that without TETFund, our university would have even been worse. It is therefore on record that this agency that was established by the government with the responsibility of administering education collected by federal inland revenue from the annual assessable profits of the company via supplementary support of public tertiary institutions in Nigeria. It shouldn't be that difficult. The executive secretary of TETFund is a professor, so I'm sure he knows arithmetic. It is easy to calculate the profit of companies in Nigeria. In fact, it is declared through annual general meetings. This 2%, so it's the difference should be clear for everybody to see. And we should be able to challenge those that are not paying. Let us understand what we are doing to our children when we don't pay. And I'm sure they will pay. So I think that is part of my challenge. I have no doubt in my mind there are the achievements that have been recorded by TETFund in the areas of provision and maintenance of strategic physical infrastructure for teaching and learning, instructional materials, equipment, research and publication, and training of academic staff and development of human capacity is essential in our tertiary institutions. The effort of TETFund is therefore an eye-opener to the height that our national institutions take with improved funding. So at this time, I must say, interestingly by coincidence, I think Professor Bundipe is the chairman of our own research that we fund in Lagos State. And I think last year, we put in 250 billion, 250 million to various small individuals doing various researches, and one of them we just bought a ventilator, a locally made ventilator. Yes, I'm going through medical trials now, and we just got the certification for it. So it's moving. We just need to push it more. As we all know, no nation can talk about meaningful achievements without the development of its human capacity. It is through the upgrade and sustenance of the human resource that other factors needed to grow the economy can be given meaning. As we therefore gather this afternoon to talk about what TETFund has done, it is important to state that funding for the education sector must be prioritized. We must consistently improve the level of funding for this critical sector if we desire to be a key player in the 21st century economy, which is knowledge and technology driven. I've spoken about the book by Walter Isaacson, The Innovators. The challenge for TETFund is how do we create our own Silicon Valley from our universities? So I think that's where the funding should go. Because as a developing country, we must understand that brick and mortar does not teach. Brick and mortar does not do research. It is human beings that do researches. MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, has assets, income that is bigger than 16 countries in Africa. How is that? Columbia University, New York, has assets in pharmaceutical alone. Last year was $1.9 billion. We say we are a rich country. Okay. The budget of Lagos State is $3 billion. That is less than the endowment of Harvard University is $600 billion. So how do we actually go out there and say we are a very rich country? We are not. The only way we can be is to fund our universities, and history is littered with this. The country of Thailand was a country that depends only on mushroom. Mushroom is the university that changed their stories. It started in the electrical engineering faculty of their universities, and that's how they became electrical giants. When you go to faculties of engineering in Nigeria, there are so many researches that are just there redundant, useless, wasted. How can we bring it out? And I think that is what TETFund must focus on. How do we take the researches to the market? How do we bring it out? It is therefore imperative that as stakeholders, we must collectively show commitment to develop implementable strategies and initiatives that will significantly enhance the level of funding on a sustainable basis for public tertiary institutions in our country.
Earlier, the keynote address for the occasion was presented by Professor Oluwatoyin Temitayo Ogundipe, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos. It was based on the theme of the day, TETFund Intervention, Catalyst for Transforming Tertiary Education in Nigeria. His presentation navigated through a preamble of TETFund beneficiary institutions before moving to allocations and disbursements, then transiting smoothly to intervention areas across the nation as a whole, while sharing the experience of the University of Lagos specifically, and finally acknowledging the challenges and recommending the way forward, all viewed through the eyes of a beneficiary researcher and scholar.
TETFund was established because of the issue of strike when I was younger in the system then, around 91, 92, 93, and ASU came up with the issue of funding education in Nigerian universities. And at that time, I remember Chief Actor Mbanefo was one of the members of the team set up by the government, and Jega was the chairman of ASU. And the young man then, who was one of them, is today's Professor Oguru, the ES TETFund. He was one of those people that time. Then ASU came up with the idea that 2% education tax fund can be gotten from the companies. And in 1993, Decree 7 was came up concerning the 2% reduction in that area. Then in 1993 also, in 1998, it was repealed and you have Decree 14. At the advent of the civilian regime, they came up with the educational tax cap, E4 laws of the Federation of Nigeria in 2004. In 2011, we have the Tertiary Education Trust Fund coming up with another act. Before that time, they got to the level of using the fund in primary schools, and other level of in secondary schools too. But after 2011, the focus then was on tertiary schools in the country. Presently, we have total of 2015, I hope my data is still, my statistics is right, 81 universities, 64 polytechnics, 70 colleges of education. But I know we might have added another polytechnic or colleges of education, I don't know yet. So the sharing formula is such that the university will get 2, polytechnic 1, and the colleges of education 1. From 1999 to 2018, in 1999, 2.7 billion was collected, and in 2010, 283.3 billion collected. I'm citing Ogoro 2019. In 2018, 22 billion collected, equivalent of $61.1 million. $61.1 million. And if you look at the annual normal direct disbursement from 2011 to 2018, universities in 2011 got to 395 million per university, and in 2018 increased to 785.83 million naira. Polytechnic from 224.9 million to 536.7 million in 2018. Also, the colleges of education from 190 million in 2011 to 510 million in 2018. Then we look at the conference attendance, which I benefited from 2012 when I was younger in the system. About 9 years ago, I was the director of academic planning then. If you look at the universities, 9.958 people benefited in attending international conferences, and the local one was 12,415. So it means that 22,374 people in their career, they have benefited from TETFund. The same thing with the polytechnics. The local and the international level, about 14,000. Colleges of education, over 20,000. So the total, 57,000 people have benefited from TETFund as at that time. And it means that the manpower level in the Polytechnic, in the College of Education and universities is being able to improve through this intervention. If you look at the library intervention, 16 billion naira disbursed to the university as at 2 years ago. To the Polytechnic, 10 billion naira. Colleges of Education, 10 billion naira. There is no other place that you can get this type of facility in Nigeria or in West Africa except through TETFund. Then, after some time, the Board of Trustees now thought that there is need to encourage our colleagues in writing books, because it became difficult for them to get publishers, because we always say then that the salary we are getting cannot take us home, and you now want to use that same salary to start publishing books. TETFund, in our wisdom, decided to introduce the academic manuscript development, and to the universities, 423 million, over 423 million was released or allocated to the universities. To the polytechnics, 505 million naira, and to the colleges of education, 372 million naira disbursed. So with this, the beauty of this is that when you produce that book, you put TETFund logo on it, and it will be such that it will be distributed to all the tertiary institutions in Nigeria. That's the advantage of this. Instead of the publisher thinking about raising money to go and publish and having problems with publishing. So from TETFund, once you have gone through all the processes, the book publication will be funded by TETFund.
TETFund shines like a beacon of hope to public tertiary institutions, and always has since inception. But the agency is becoming something more than that. With the R&D strategy, TETFund is evolving to become an essential tool for the competitiveness of Nigeria's knowledge economy. And that is the paradigm shift.